Refocus Gang, and welcome back to another episode of Refocus on You. I greatly appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys have been having a great week. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day. What are you doing to celebrate your father today? What kind of gifts did you give him? Drop them in the comments below. Maybe you give somebody else an idea for next year, or maybe they was running out of options and they're still picking up last minute things. Drop some ideas in the comments below. Please make sure that you are liking, subscribing, and sharing these videos. Get them out our social media platforms. Make sure you send them to your friends, your family, everyone. This week, I have kind of been reflecting a lot on my past, and which is kind of strange to me because a lot of the stuff that happened when I was younger, I didn't remember. So I don't know if you've been following me for a long time. My first video I told about how I had been in survival mode and I didn't really remember a lot of stuff and how my memory had begun to come back, but of course it wasn't fully back. So this week I have been reflecting a whole lot. I don't know why. Well, I didn't know why, but I had been reflecting a whole lot. So I'm going to tell you guys a couple of stories about my background, about things that happened when I was younger. And I'm going to actually let you know at the end, like, what I really got out of it throughout the week. A lot of times when we go on growth journeys and self-healing journeys, we have to resurrect the past. Like, in order to heal from anything, you're going to always have to uproot what actually happened, find the actual root of the problem, and nip that in the bud. So I believe the reflections is in some way helping me actually uproot some issues that maybe I thought that I was over, or I thought that I had healed from, and maybe they are deeper layered than I actually thought. Which is a good thing because that means I'm growing. That means I'm healing. And while you're on this journey, I don't want you to go through these certain things and get thrown for a loop like, oh my God, I thought I was over this. I thought this was done. And when you end up back in that situation or you end up dealing with those issues again, you feel like, oh, I'm not growing. This is not working. I'm failing. No, it's layers to this. It's levels to this. It's levels to growth. It's layers to uprooting trauma. So I'm going to put you guys on to a couple stories. All of this stuff that I'm going to tell you, most of it happened between about the age of 13 and 18. Now, I have been on my own for quite a long time. So most of the things that has been coming to my attention is times when I know for a fact that something was watching over me, someone was protecting me, and that there is so much purpose on this little life of mine, honestly. So, a lot of times growing up, I have put myself in a lot of danger, like, and just being naive. Still basically being a child. At 13, you're still a child. At 14, I was on my own, trying to live a life as a grown person. I wasn't even mentally developed enough in order to be living what I was living. But I was out there, and I was doing certain things that were definitely putting my life in danger. In today's time, I may not would have made it back home. I remember one time I was 13, and let me say this. My mother probably don't know about none of this stuff. So this is going to be a shock to her. Growing up, my mother used the tools that were given to her. As an adult, I realized that now. No, she did not cross every T and dot every I. It's stuff that I feel like I was missing that she did not give to me as a child, but she was working with what she knew. Now, as a grown-up, as a mother, as I grow, I realize that she was doing the best that she can. The mother that she is now, I admire. Like, I admire my mother so much because a lot of the stuff that she went through, the battles that she had to fight, the wars she had to go through. I don't think I could have went through them. So I admire her fight, her tenacity to keep pushing, to raise her kids, to actually try and provide for us based off the tools that she was actually giving herself. So I'm not saying these stories, or I don't want anybody to be like, well, what was your mama? She was doing the best that she could. And she still does the best that she can. And it's an awesome job. I worship her. I admire her. I go to her for any type of advice. Let me call my mama first. So don't get it twisted. Don't come for my mama, because that's not going to work out for you. But I remember one time I was 13 years old, and I actually met a guy online. And he was in the Army, and I remember this guy came to where I was living. I was living with my mom at the time. He came and picked me up and took me back to his town, which was about 3 hours away. He took me back to his town. He was in the Army, so I'm actually on the base with this guy. And I don't know, like when we got there, we had conversations and whatnot, and his girlfriend ended up coming. And when his girlfriend came, it was like basically she was catching him in there with another girl. And once I explained, like, well, I'm 13 and blah, 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 she kind of flipped, like, and which is rightfully so, because now you find out your boyfriend has rapist vibes. But she actually brought me home. On the way home, she was crying. I was crying. She was like, why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in that situation? She was like, I'm not mad at you for coming, because you are still a child. Like, I remember vividly, she was like, you are still a child. She was like, I'm mad at him because he was basically hunting a child. She said, and I'm going to stop talking to him. She was like, but do you know he could have murdered you? He could have raped you. He could have did anything to you. Why would you leave home with someone you don't know? And I basically explained to her, like, I don't know. I guess I was just out there. Like, I was looking. The more I think about it, and I talked about it with one of my closest acquaintances, my best friend, my ride or die, the more I think about it, I just wanted love. Like, I wanted someone to love me. My mother's mother didn't really know how to love, so that in turn made my mother not really know how to love. And she raised us. She was there awesomely financially, but she worked constantly. We really barely saw her because she was actually trying to provide for us, which took away the time aspect. And she was looking for love herself. So that kind of took away the emotional aspect. So her not being emotionally equipped to give us the emotional tools we needed, we lacked those. So my dad died when I was 6. I didn't feel loved, and I was looking for attention. Like, I was looking for anything and anyone who could actually give me some type of attention and make me feel like I was loved. So, like, I kind of explained that to her, like, I don't know. And she was breaking down. She was like, listen, never do that again. She was like, what if, the what if. And she brought me all the way back home and dropped me off at the doorstep. She watched me go in the house, and she could have easily pulled up like, no, I'm going in the house to tell your mama I'm doing. She did none of that. She faithfully brought me back home, her and her best friend, and left me, and she was like, never do that again. That was a guardian angel. Like, what if she hadn't walked in that room? It's really no telling, honestly, what he would have done, and if I would have made it back home safely. 1. 2, I remember now, I know you guys have probably watched my abusive relationship video. That happened between the ages of 15 and 18. I remember I was walking home one day. Well, not home, to the hotel. I lived in a hotel. I hadn't ate for like a week. My boyfriend at the time was on drugs, so He had spent all the money on drugs. He was in the wrong sleep. He probably been high for about a good week now. He got to come home and pull himself back together and rest and sleep it out. So I done scraped up some change to go to the grocery store and get me a can of chicken noodle soup. At the time, chicken noodle soup was probably like 59 cents. So I went and got me a can of chicken noodle soup. I'm like, I'm gonna eat this. I ain't ate in like a week. So I'm walking down the road back to the hotel room, and this guy stops on a big Suburban. He's kind of a healthy guy. He's dark skinned. He has like not, I guess, little twists. He may have been locking it up, but he has little twists. And he was like, "Where you going?" Like, it's nighttime. It's probably the grocery store was closing as I was leaving out, so it's like 11 at night. Where you going? And I was like, well, I'm going back to the room. I had to give him something to eat. And he was like, why are you walking this time of night? Like, and mind you, I'm young, 15, 18. I was probably like 16 at the time. So he's like, why are you walking back by yourself, blah, blah, blah. So I actually filled him in. Like, I stood there and talked to him. I stood on the outside of the car for a little while and talked to him. And I was like, well, I just went and got me some soup. I ain't had anything to eat, blah, 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 blah. So he actually took me to Burger King, got me something to eat. He let me eat the food in the car. He just sat there and talked to me while I ate. After I ate, he dropped me back off at the room. He gave me his phone number. He was like, if you need anything, do not hesitate to call me. If you haven't ate, if you just need a little cash, he was like, just call me. Guardian angel. He could have put me in that truck and took me in there. He might not have been as nice as he was, like, and I actually over time actually kept in contact with this person, and he used to bring me food, bring me money. I got into some trouble, and like he came and got me out of the trouble. If me and the boy got to fighting, he would come and pick me up off the side of the road, different things like that, take me to his house, pull me back together, feed me, let me bathe, do all of that. And he never once harmed me. He never tried to do anything with me, or he's never even tried to touch me. A guardian angel. Like, and it's just amazing on all of the things that I have been reflecting on that has actually, like, these people kind of saved my life. Like, they helped me out in such a way. And I can't talk about the negative thing. Well, that's not even negative. It's actually positive. Guardian angel, someone's protecting me. I have a cousin that I have been thinking about, like, constantly this last week. Lord rest her soul. I remember she called me one day and she sent me to this workshop. At the time, the workshop could not do what she intentionally sent me there for, but I still went to the workshop. I filled out the paperwork. They was like, we can't do anything right now. Long story short, 10 years down the line, these same people reach out to me and change my entire life. One. Two, I remember one day she called me to go have dinner with her. And she took me, we went out to eat, and we had a conversation, and she apologized to me, and she was like, well, I don't know if you even realized it, but she apologized to me for some things that she had been doing intentionally, because really she knew no better. And in that apology, she was like, I'm sorry if the whole thing is, it was a whole thing with my father, and she was just like, I'm sorry for treating you any type of different, and I should have known better. You were still a child and all of that, which I never really noticed it, but it was like, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your apology, and I appreciate you feeling the need to actually correct yourself. That was healing in itself. And I don't know whether it's something that she needs to tell me at this moment, but I have constantly been thinking about her. And I think probably like the last time I really seen her, she was in a hospital, and this was before I had my daughter. I was just coming from out of town. She was in the hospital, so I'm like, let me stop and see you since I'm coming in. And I stopped, and I remember I stayed there for like a good hour. She had met my daughter's father at the time, and she was like, "Oh, girl," she was like, "You about to have a baby?" And I like she told me like, "You about to have a baby?" And I was like, "Girl, I'm not having no baby, so I'm having too much fun." Blah blah blah. And I actually ended up, I was pregnant at the time. She was telling me I was about to have a baby. I just didn't know because I honestly found out a couple of months later that I was 3 months in. I would have been pregnant when I was standing there talking to her. So it's just amazing, like the things that I have been reflecting on. And I, like I said, I have been trying to figure out like why am I actually reflecting on these things? And it kind of boiled down to the fact that I have been wrestling back and forth with myself about, can you do this? Like, you know, we all have those little voices inside of our head that says, you can't do this. You in over your head. Like, look at all this stuff. Like, you've been through all of this. And I believe the reflection started off at, look at all of this stuff that you have done. Look at the stupid mistakes you have made. But the ending of it was, there is no one more qualified to do what you are called to do. I was on my way to my nail appointment the other day, and I was listening to Sarah Jakes Roberts, and she said that in her message, and I immediately broke down crying because that was all of everything that I needed in that exact moment. Like, I don't care what I've been through. I don't care the mistakes I made. All of that, the whole journey led up to this moment where I realized that my life, the things I've been through, all of the trials, all of the mistakes, all of the close calls, all of the I should have been dead, all of you can't do this, and I did it. It led up to this moment of, there's no one more qualified to do that which you are called to do. So as you reflect on all of the things you've been through, I'm pretty sure we all have some extravagant stories. Some stories like, I shouldn't have been here. Some parts of your journey that you wish to leave out. It's like we all have something that we just like, wow. All of that is gonna turn into your purpose. And I truly want you guys to know that all of your struggles is gonna push you towards your purpose. Nothing will be in vain. Everything you have been through is gonna set you up for the proper future. There is no one more qualified to do that which you are called to do. Handle your business. If you need a reflection moment, reflect, but don't let it get the best of you. If you need a time out, but don't let it get the best of you. If you get overwhelmed, calm down, slow your breathing down, take a moment, but never give up, because your story is not finished until your purpose is fulfilled. So even though it started off one way, the way it's going to end is going to be completely different. And it's going to be amazing. And that's just what I keep telling myself. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to look back when I'm 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. I always say I'm going to make it to at least 90, because at that point my daughter will be 60 and 6 to be able to live on her own. But when I'm 90, sitting on my back porch in my rocking chair, I will be able to look back over my life and see where I came from and where I got to and say, wow, I did that. So don't give up. Keep pushing. It's all going to pay off in the end. All right. I greatly appreciate you guys watching. I hope this has helped you. I hope this helped you get to know me a little bit. Like, I hope this really helps you, and I hope as you are in your moments of reflection that you realize that this too is going to be a part of the glow up, the grow up, the purpose fulfilled, the journey, the testimony, the story I tell. My story is going to eventually save someone's life. And whether it be one person's life or 10,000 people's life, as long as I help one, I feel accomplished. It was for something. So, mothers, fathers, I understand we all have to provide. We all are probably still struggling to heal ourselves. But make sure that you are properly attending to your kids. The material stuff is awesome. I love all of the stuff that my mother gave me. But as I became an adult, I realized that I was not equipped with the tools to emotionally handle life. And those are the things that I searched for the most. Love. The constant I love yous and you're beautiful, you're pretty, um, you're great, you can do all things. Those were the reassurance moments that I honestly needed. And as parents, we're always going to miss something. I don't care, even if you are the best mom ever, it's always going to be something that your child is like, but I needed this. And you're going to be like, but I gave you this. It's always going to be something. We're never going to be perfect. It is no manual to parenting. But just make sure that you are devoting the time that they need in order to actually allow them to progress. Go back and look at the video from last week. Do that little session with them. Ask them questions like, what do you need from me? How can I serve you? What do you want more of? Um, how do you want our relationship to look? Because as a parent and child, that's a relationship. So check in with your kids and see how would you like for our relationship to look? What do you need from me? Because you don't know until you actually ask. And what you needed as a child is always going to be different from what they needed. So make sure you're doing those check-ins with them. Make sure you're giving them what they need and what they require, and not just what you think they want. All right. I hope you guys have a great week. Like I said before, happy Father's Day. I hope this has benefited you greatly. Bye.